Why do the rich buy such absurd pieces of art? It's ridiculous. Hello, you may have heard the news about some artworks that seem completely nonsensical. For example, a banana taped to a wall was sold for 120,000. Then there's a painting that's just a black and white streak, sold for 84 million. And another one with just two orange squares on a darker orange background, sold for 28 million. To make it even more absurd, its title is simply Untitled, a true masterpiece. You may be wondering, why so many people spend millions of dollars on paintings or art collections that seem completely meaningless? You might think they are just bored and want to spend money recklessly, or maybe they have a strange artistic taste. While some wealthy people may be a bit eccentric, they are not foolish. It's all strategy and hidden intent to make or save more money. And you may ask, how the rich use art to earn or save money. Let's break it down. Why the rich buy these absurd artworks and how they use them. Part 1. Investment. Believe it or not, art can be an excellent investment. Imagine you buy an artwork today for $10,000, and 10 years later, it's worth $100,000. That's a tenfold increase. Pretty enticing, right? For example, there's an artist named Jean-Michel Basquiat. You may have seen his work and thought, what is this mess? Basquiat's works often look like children's doodles, with chaotic lines, words, and images. But one of his paintings, also titled Untitled, was auctioned for over 57 million in 2016. Yes, a Japanese billionaire named Yusaku Maezawa competed with other billionaires at the auction and bought this painting for 57 million. So why would someone pay such a huge sum for a painting like this? In the art world, people buy art not just for the piece itself, but for the artist's reputation. In Basquiat's case, he emerged at the right moment, during the early Neo-Expressionism movement, and is considered one of the pioneers. Also, when an artist dies, their work becomes more valuable because no new pieces are being created, making existing works rare and sought after. If the artist had a tragic life, the value can increase even more. In Basquiat's case, he was expelled from school, kicked out of home at 17, and began living on the streets. In the 1980s, he was just a street artist, painting graffiti in New York. And right at that moment, his painting style aligned perfectly with the emerging Neo-Expressionism spreading in the 1980s. So he began creating paintings and successfully sold his first piece for 200. He continued painting and gradually became famous. Despite his success, he struggled with addiction, and tragically, in 1988, Basquiat died of a drug overdose at the age of 27. So his tragic life, early death, and pioneering style in modern art made his works increasingly valuable. As for Yusaku Maezawa, he resold this painting in 2022 for 85 million. Since he bought it for 57 million, holding it for 6 years and selling for 85 means million, he made $28 million from this investment. That's why art collecting can be an excellent investment. Part 2. Tax avoidance. As we all know, the rich hate paying taxes, and they will do everything possible to avoid paying more. If you've watched my video on how the rich avoid taxes, I explained that they have countless tricks to reduce or even eliminate the taxes they owe. Now I'll explain how they use art to avoid taxes. Suppose there's a billionaire named Bob. In 2020, Bob realized art could be an investment tool and decided to buy a painting from a fairly famous artist for $3 million. 5 years later, in 2020, Bob had an income of $50 million, which is normal for someone wealthy like him. Of course, the tax agency required Bob to pay 30% income tax, which is $15 million. Bob, who hates paying taxes, started thinking about ways to reduce this at that time. He remembered the painting he bought 5 years ago and didn't want to pay the full $15 million. Bob decided to use the painting to reduce his tax burden. He brought the painting to an art expert for appraisal. They reevaluated it. The result? The expert said the painting's investment had significantly increased. If Bob sold the painting for $20 million to pay taxes, he would still have to pay 28% capital gains, about $5.6 million. Instead, Bob decided to donate to an art museum. When the museum agreed to accept it, Bob could report to the tax agency that he had just donated a work worth $20 million. It counted as a charitable contribution. With donations, the tax agency allows the rich to deduct that amount from their taxable income. So Bob reduces his taxable income by the $20 million he donated. As a result, Bob's taxable income is now only 40 million, and he only has to pay 30 of that, which is 9 million. So Bob buys the painting for 3 million plus 9 million in taxes, a total of 12 million. He saves 3 million compared to paying the full $15 million originally owed. Some might ask why Bob didn't just buy a cheap painting, say 10,000 from an unknown artist, then have an expert appraise it, valuing it at $50 million, and donate it to a museum to avoid taxes. This trick might have worked in the past, but not anymore. The tax authorities now have their own appraisal teams to verify whether a piece really is worth that much. And since Bob bought from an unknown artist, suddenly valuing the painting at $50 million would be extremely suspicious. If the tax authorities discover the scheme, Bob would be in serious trouble. Moreover, art itself has no fixed value. It's completely subjective. If you like a painting, you might say it's worth $100 million, but someone else who hates it might say only $1 million or not worth a cent. So this trick is quite risky. Part 3. Money laundering. Many people say that these absurd artwork are often used to launder money, and that's quite true, though not always. So what is laundering money? It's the process of making money earned from illegal activities appear legitimate. Simply put, it's cleaning dirty money to make it seem like it came from legal business sources. For example, there's a man named Charlie who earns millions from drug trafficking, which is illegal. Criminals usually use cash because it's harder for police to trace. However, if Charlie brings that cash to a bank, the bank and police will ask where it came from. If they investigate and find he owns shady businesses, he's going to jail. But Charlie can't just keep millions in cash at home. He has to store it somewhere safer, like a bank. So Charlie needs to launder this money, and he chooses art to do it. He buys a painting for $10 million with dirty cash. You might think the police would be suspicious. But the advantage of the art market is its extremely high secrecy. Charlie can have a third party buy it for him. And because transactions in the art world are often anonymous, it's very difficult for authorities to trace the money flow. Then he stores the painting in a free port. So what is a free port? It's a storage facility for valuable art collections that are tax exempt, highly secure, and completely private. More importantly, it's legal, though somewhat opaque. One of the most famous free ports is in Geneva, Switzerland. Charlie stores his painting there safely and discreetly. Later, Charlie finds a buyer and sells the painting for $10 million and receives clean money from a legal transaction without paying taxes. Now he can deposit the $10 million in a bank. If the bank asks for the source, Charlie just says he sold a painting, and if they check, it's true because the free port is legal. In reality, money laundering through art is much more complex. It often involves multiple intermediaries, buying and selling multiple times to erase traces. But in this video, I'm just giving an overview so you can understand. Part 4. Market manipulation. In the art world, market manipulation means making others believe a piece is worth more than it actually is. There are many ways to do this, but the most common is through secret agreements between collectors, galleries, and sometimes even the artist. For example, there's a wealthy collector named Tom who knows gallery owners and a few billionaire friends. They plan together to inflate the value of an obscure artist named Jen. Her paintings are currently worth only about $10,000 each. Tom and his friends buy Jen's paintings at that price, then each adds $50,000, a total of $200,000 to promote her name. They advertise heavily online and organize exhibitions, inviting the media to cover Jen to create buzz. As a result, more and more people learn about Jen and want to buy her paintings, causing the value to rise quickly. When Jen becomes famous, everyone sees her as a talented artist, and her paintings become highly sought-after collector's items. Tom decides to auction one painting, and as her fame rises, the auction becomes more exciting. Buyers compete by offering higher prices. Suppose someone buys Tom's painting for over $10 million. Usually, the buyer pays the auction fees, so Tom receives the full $10 million, minus $10,000 for the painting purchase and $50,000 for promotion, earning a profit of $9.94 million, even after paying 28% tax. Tom still makes about $17 million, and his friends can repeat this trick with other steps. Part 5. Social tools. Not all wealthy people truly love art, but they collect it as a social tool. For example, there's a billionaire named Jerry who invites friends to his mansion. As they stroll around the house, his friends see countless expensive artworks, and Jerry says something like, "I own pieces even pricier than in museums," implying that he is extremely rich and should not be underestimated. His friends will definitely be impressed, because clearly Jerry is no amateur. Not every rich person can buy famous paintings, besides money. Jerry also needs good connections with collectors, dealers, and artists. Thanks to that, Jerry can join the club. of ultra-wealthy art enthusiasts, where all are billionaires, politicians, artists, and influencers. For instance, the International Art Fair, Art Basel, gathers the powerful and famous. Here, Jerry can meet top-tier figures to collaborate on future projects. So even without genuine interest in art, Jerry collects to gain respect and expand business connections. In summary, when the wealthy spend millions on seemingly bizarre works, they are not crazy. They may not like art, but they buy for other reasons, to gain money or social benefits. Of course, no one truly knows if they love art or just have their own agenda, because art is hard to value and tastes differ for everyone. Next time you see a banana duct taped to a wall, selling for millions, remember, it's not just for the art, but for what people can do with it. If you want me to make more videos explaining topics like this, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.